"So, yeoman, what happened to your master?" He hesitated for a time but cleared his throat and said, "He socialized secretly with someone's fiancée without her betrothed being with her." "Oh, that does not sound so bad," Lady Pelorus said with a frown. However, Yeoman sighed with his head dipping slightly, saying, "You are right, my lady. Nonetheless, he was, thereafter, accused of adultery." Lady Pelorus immediately gritted her teeth, for this title was familiar to her as well. The only difference between her and Master Elpis is that she was complicit in her affair. Though she only gave her heart to the man, and her chastity still remained, this did not spare her from the cruelty of high society, especially being the daughter of a viscount. Then she sought help from the man she fell for, but he forsook her. This was the final nail in her social coffin. She cried and wept at her foolishness, feeling the weight of her sin, but even this did not quell the insults and degradation. She therefore turned to the Creator himself and blamed her misfortune on him day and night, for giving her a heart that loves. Eventually, the pain dampened, but did not disappear, and then she found herself at the edge of a cliff in the middle of a storm. Remembering these things brought tears to her eyes, knowing that someone else was going through something she already went through. Yeoman continued with a heavy heart, saying, "He loved her so much. The young master grew up with her, you see, because the Baron favored his father, who was a knight commander. The young master promised to be with her, a promise he could not keep, not of his doing, but of his love's father. The man, who was a baronet, sought peerage to baron and found that if he gave his daughter to Viscount Scanlan, that he would surely receive a peerage. Convincing his daughter, the young master's love began to reject his affections and efforts, and eventually stopped seeing him altogether. However, the young man was bold, and proposed to her under the tree that they grew up under, but when she called him to her manor the next day, he was met with the Duke, the Marquis, and the Count, where he was slandered and labelled an adulterer. He secluded himself to his room for a time, until his father gave him a week to pack his things and move out. So he decided to use his last 3 days to get away from the house to the countryside." Lady Pelorus paused and said, "To the country, you mean this shore side?" "Yes, my lady, why?"